All right.
All right, we are group 4. Our scenario was 2 special education students were sent to your office for a physical fight in gym class. One student has a learning disability in reading and the other has a behavior disorder. During your investigation, you uncover that the behavior disordered student has also brought a switchblade to school with the intent of harming the other student. Discuss your protocol in dealing with both students.
Okay, and I think when we discussed earlier, like our first step would be to first recognize that both of these students do have verified disabilities, one with a specific learning disability in reading, and the other one does have an emotional disturbance, which is problematic for his behavior at school and in the classroom. And we agreed as a group that the student who just has a learning disability would follow the guidelines outlined in the student handbook as far as what disciplinary action might look like for that student. His disability does not impede his behavior and is not needed to have an IEP meeting to discuss that. However, the student with the behavior disorder does. So Riley mentioned that we would have to have a manifestation determination meeting, which would pull the IEP team together because we feel since he does have a behavior disorder that him bringing a blade is part of his disability, and then also a physical fight. He might not have that emotional regulation and skills needed in order to appropriately handle this situation. So that meeting would be called, and it would have to be determined by the IEP that yes, this was part of his disability, and what are we going to do? What are our next steps? What supports are in place that are working? What supports do we feel should be in place due to this incident, and kind of outline what that would look like. If it would be like specifically designed instruction in the area of behavior skills, emotional regulation, coping skills, and those would be outlined in an IEP, and that would have to be amended.
Yep. Trisha did a really good job of explaining that. So we would have manifestation meetings for both students just because like we had talked about how they both have identified disabilities. And with the information that we're given, that the manifestation team is probably only going to determine that the student with a behavior disorder, it would be a manifestation of his disability. So what we're saying is the IEP that the team had created isn't strong enough or sufficient enough to support that student. So we would have to either create a behavior plan for that student or change that just to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Another thing that we had talked about previously is the switchblade and what that might mean, just because we know that different states identify different lengths of knives as what would constitute as a weapon or not. But anything else that we discussed previously that I maybe forgot, guys? Okay.
So I think just tracking the progress to make sure that they would be meeting their goals on the new parts identified in the manifestation determination meeting.
Exactly.